first thing, the evolutionary explanation, and the best way I can explain this is by telling you what happened to the menopausal women in the primal days, our hunter and gatherer days. We have examples. Kristen Hawkes, who's the big champion of this, she actually went and lived with the Tanzania tribe, or the Hadza tribe in Tanzania, and observed these grandmothers. And I just want to point out, you don't have to be a grandmother. You just have to be a post-menopausal woman to be a part of this purpose-driven experience. So that was a tricky thing when I wrote the book. I understand not everybody's grandmothers. But what this hypothesis says is that what happened in the primal days when a woman stopped her period is she got moved to a different position in the clan. She got moved to a position of leadership. Because what happened in the hunter-gatherer life is that there was two ways they got food. One is through a big animal kill, and one is by foraging for plants and tubers around the tribe and the cave. We'll just call it the cave. And so what was happening on a regular basis is that the men and the strong women, I've also seen some interesting things that a few of the grandmothers, went out for the big animal kill, and they were gone for weeks. And when they came back, they only came back with food 3% of the time. So most of the time they failed. They didn't come back with a big animal kill except 3% of the time. Meanwhile, you have all the fertile women who are birthing babies, they were nursing babies, they were caring for little toddlers. They needed food. So who went and found them food? The grandmothers. So the grandmothers would gather every morning together in collaboration, and they would go and walk 7 hours every single day to go, in a fasted state, by the way, to go and find food. Then when they found food, most of the food was tubers, so they didn't have hip replacements. They had to bend down and get their hands in the ground and bring these tubers up, and then they would take the tubers back to the cave, and they would start peeling them, cutting them, and they would tell stories. This part's important. They would share knowledge, tell stories to the little kids as they were making foods. Meanwhile, days would go by without the men coming back with a big animal kill. And they believe, Kristen Hawkes, Lisa Mosconi, many experts believe that we would not be sitting here right now as humans if the grandmothers hadn't foraged for food. So in my book, that makes us an evolutionary heroine. The fact that we are all here is because of the post-menopausal woman. Right? Thank you. Thank you. I feel like we all need crowns. The other thing that they believe is because the grandmother would share knowledge to the kids, that the brains of these kids grew, and they believe that our expression of language that came out of those days and the growth of the brain, one of the contributing factors was because the grandmothers told stories to the little kids, which helped form new neuronal pathways and grew these little kids' brains. So, great. We know this. We are in a modern world. But this was the evolutionary explanation for menopause, is the tribe was like, we need you now. Go find food because we're kind of sucking at this big animal kill thing. So we're going to come over here. We need you to go find food for us. The actual hypothesis says that we get 3 things returned back to us when we go into this state. Our fitness improves. Anybody postmenopausally feel that? Your fitness is supposed to improve because you got to go hunt for food every day. Your cognition improves on the other side, and your social, the way you collaborate with other women, it really comes together instead of competing, because we don't care what's going on with the seed of the man who went off and found some. We don't give a shit about that anymore. We need to go find food. So we got to collaborate with each other and go and get food. This is not the message that we're giving women right now. We are not being like, oh, thank you for saving the species. You're post-menopausal now. That's not what's being discussed. And we're going to change that. Okay, second thing is what Lisa Mosconi taught us, which is all of a sudden, instead of having this relational brain, where every time I do something, I got to take your opinion into consideration. Anybody married to a menopausal woman that's brave enough to say, yeah, all of a sudden she seems like she didn't want my opinion anymore? Yes, thank you, one brave man. She wasn't designed to ask your opinion anymore. She doesn't care. She was drugged on estrogen, and now she's not drugged on estrogen anymore. So she can use her own brain to think. So estrogen, we have a bigger corpus callosum. It connects the right and left hemisphere, and estrogen activated it. And then when estrogen goes away, that connection between right and left operates very differently, and we go more into a lateralized brain. I call it the brain remodel project. We're in process of our brain changing. It's remodeling, it's messy, but then we're gonna go somewhere where it's bright and shiny and we can really stand in a place of purpose in the culture. That's what we're designed to do. The estrogen's girl gang. Let's see if I put it up here. There are 12 neurochemicals. Well, they're not all neurochemicals, but for the sake of this conversation, we're just gonna call them that. 12 neurochemicals that estrogen stimulated. So just think about this for a moment. When estrogen left, all of a sudden acetylcholine, which is our memory neurotransmitter, goes. Glutamate, which is our excitatory neurotransmitter, all of a sudden gets amplified. BDNF, which is our ability to hold on to new information, it's gone. Dopamine, which is our motivation and our desire to go do something, she left the building. Serotonin, who told us everything was going to be okay and we were fine and we're doing a good job, she's out. Oxytocin, the thing that made us want to connect to you, gone. GABA, the thing that calmed us, she's gone. Melatonin, gone. Estrogen controlled our whole circadian rhythm. And all of a sudden, she's gone. You actually have the estrogen receptor sites in the part of the brain that actually keeps the inner biological clock. So any menopausal women that wake up at 2 in the morning and they're like, I could run a marathon, why the heck does my body think that it's like 10 in the morning? It's because that internal clock got so messed up with estrogen gone because your pineal gland doesn't know when to secrete melatonin. And then something that I wish I had known in practice, which is she stimulated collagen and creatine, which is why that if you're dealing with women who are in this age group that have pain and those injuries are not going away, it's because she doesn't have as much collagen, you can't just see it on her face, you see it in the joints, and she doesn't have as much creatine, and that's what supports brain function and supports muscle function. So this is really important. I know we all have different ways we practice chiropractic, but this is massively important because what I'm going to show you here in a moment is how we can use lifestyle to bring this back. This is not hard. The grandmothers in the hunter-gatherer days didn't have phones. They weren't wearing Oura rings to tell them what kind of sleep they got. They weren't counting calories. They didn't have a scale. They used their lifestyle to bring these things back. So when a woman comes in and she says, I'm so sorry I missed my appointment, I totally forgot what time it is, your brain should be like, oh, okay, acetylcholine, she's low in acetylcholine, how can we help bring that back? Or the woman, like the women in my practice that came in and they're like, I don't know, on paper my life looks good, but I'm so depressed. Oh, she lost dopamine. Or the couple, the family that you're working with, and all of a sudden they start to feel less connected. They've maybe been married for 25, 30 years, and all of a sudden there becomes this disconnect. Yeah, because she doesn't have as much oxytocin. We got to find new ways to bring oxytocin back.